Blab Scam, TV's rigged political talk shows by you, Christopher Hitchens. Blab Scam suggests a scandal. Is it really a scandal?
Yeah, I think it's a scandal, and I think it's a crying shame. I mean, I've been now on the McLaughlin group, which probably some of your customers watch too, on It's Your Business, on most of these shows. And the only one you may be touched to see, I don't mention, as being a fix, is this show. And I guess I could have also mentioned Firing Line, which I've been on, William Buckley's program.
Let's talk about the three shows that are so widely watched on Sunday mornings. And I'm sure C-SPAN viewers that read lots of newspapers probably watch those shows. I must admit I do. And I'm going to hold up your article from Harper's, Dateline Washington. An interesting story about how these shows are put together and how these shows consistently get top government officials. Dateline Washington, in the White House press office, there sits a woman named Denny E. Brisley. You may not know Ms. Brisley, but if you watch the Sunday morning political chat shows, you know her work. To her falls the job of producing and editing the key segments of This Week with David Brinkley, Meet the Press, and Face the Nation. Now, how is it that a White House official edits the key segments of those three shows?
The White House can decide who they're going to put up in a given week, and they can tell administration officials not to go on the air that day, and they can tell others they should go forward and carry the torch for the line of the week, whatever it may be, because it now keeps changing so often. This week, they can then get the three shows to bid against each other for whoever is the most famous or prominent administration spokesman that week. And what that means is that these shows are not going to have you and me, critical, independent minds as we are, when the White House rings up, they say, well, so you'd like Mr. McFarlane, say, and they say yes, and they say, well, you know, CBS is looking for him too. Let me see, well, what questions were you thinking of asking him? You know, who was going to be the panel? And producers can learn quite quickly you're not going to make trouble for the guy. Otherwise, you'll always be at the end of the totem pole that week. So that what looks like competition between the three networks is in fact a competition to please and to be bland, and not to outbid for getting the story, but outbid for getting the ratings building figure. Now I say that is a scam in the sense of it is corruption of journalism, yeah, and it is the reason why the administration has been able to have such a tremendously easy ride over the last 6 years. And I say that, of course, as a political opponent of the administration, but I think it's not in the interests of people who support the administration to have it go uncriticized. It's bad for it, and it's bad for our trade of journalism too. So that's really the essence of what I'm saying. And I remember one of those producers of one of those shows, I won't say which one, saying to me, I'm sick of having Larry Speaks being the chief producer of the Sunday morning TV in this country. And that's really what the situation was.
You talk it, and you interviewed Miss Brisley, is that correct?
No, I didn't interview Miss Brisley. The nation is incredibly low in the administration's scale of priorities when it comes to giving interviews. We're never called at press conferences. They never call us back. I mean, that kind of thing. No, but those words are direct quotes that she gave to a friend of mine.
The quotes from Miss Brisley to your friend basically saying, it's all done in a very sensitive diplomatic type language. Things are said but not said, end of quote. Among the things, quote, said, end of quote, in this unspoken dialogue is something along these lines, quote, don't even think about having X on the panel of questioners, or we'll go to another network with the secretary and you'll look small. Yeah. So they even do it with journalists that might be asking tough questions of a member of the cabinet.
Yeah. I mean, it's a very small pool of people. I mean, it's like when, I remember, I think it was the night of the bombing of Libya, a moment of extreme controversy in American life, public life, and in American relations with the rest of the world. You know, Nightline calls up its list of impartial experts, and these are always the same people, Henry Kissinger, sometimes Jeane Kirkpatrick, until very recently Michael Ledeen, who turns out to have been a man who was an expert on terrorism only in the sense of being a man bargaining with terrorists and swapping hostages for weapons with terrorists, was unabashedly on the television every week as NSC terrorism expert. So the definition of expert that they had was A, very narrow, and B, one that generally fit the government's perspective on the issue. So that one had a tremendously conformist sense of politics and of debate, transmitted to millions of homes without anyone really knowing the name of this woman in the White House press office, Denny Brisley, whose job it is to keep the thing smooth and prevent any rough questions or rough questioners from breaking it.
Is it possible for Miss Denny Brisley or someone in the White House or in the White House press office to keep a critic of the Reagan administration off the shows by simply saying, if you have them on, we won't give you the secretary, and we will give the secretary to your competitor?
As I say, and as she says, it's done in a sensitive diplomatic manner. After a while, I mean, any producer who's got any sense of himself at all will know what not to do without being told. Let's put it like that.
Let's take a look at who was on the